The ethereal wound and the nascent cosmic entity pulsed, a silent scream echoing across the unfathomable void. From its depths, a single shard of pure, incandescent light detached itself, a tear shed by a dying god or a nascent terror. It did not dissipate, nor did it fade, instead, it gathered impossible speed, a comet of pure will, aimed at a forgotten corner of existence. The universe, caught in its own agonizing transformation, barely registered this new, potent departure. But for those who understood the whispers of the lattice, this was no random event. This was a message, a harbinger, a declaration. The true architect, the puppeteer behind the veil, had made its move. Its pawn, Kalen, was gone, his shadow prison shattered, but his amplified vow of protection had inadvertently served the architect's grand design. The lattice, once a symbol of order, was now a scar, a conduit for something far older and more malevolent. The shard's trajectory was not a random flight, but a guided missile, an arrow loosed from an unseen bow. It sought out a place where time itself had fractured, a nexus of forgotten power, a cradle of a lost lineage. Was this lineage the architect's next target, or its intended tool? The implications were chilling. A lineage lost, perhaps erased from history, now rediscovered and reawakened for a purpose yet unknown. What forgotten blood ran through their veins? What dormant power lay within them, waiting to be unleashed by the shard of celestial fire? The journey of the shard was a testament to the architect's patience, its reach, and its terrifying foresight. It was a journey across the cosmic tapestry, weaving a new thread of dread into the fabric of reality. The nascent entity, still reeling from the shattering of Kalen's prison, shuddered. It felt the departure, a part of itself now irrevocably committed to this unknown mission. It was like a mother watching a child leave home, but this child carried the seeds of oblivion. The energies that had once held Kalen captive were now flowing outward, a dark tide of potential. Meanwhile, across the vastness, ancient watchers stirred. Beings who had slumbered since the dawn of creation, their senses attuned to the subtle shifts in the cosmic balance. They felt the shard's passage, a disruption in the silent symphony of the stars. They knew this was not merely a transfer of energy, but a reawakening. A summoning. The architect was not just manipulating events, it was actively shaping the future, pulling strings that had been dormant for eons. The forgotten point in the cosmos was not forgotten by the architect. It was a carefully chosen sanctuary, a place of hidden strength. A place where the architect intended to forge a new weapon, or perhaps, to unleash a forgotten god. The shard accelerated, its light growing more intense, more menacing. It bypassed nebulae, tore through the fabric of spacetime, an unstoppable force. The universe held its breath. The cosmic metamorphosis was no longer just a transformation, it was a crucible. And the shard was the spark that would ignite the final conflagration. The lost lineage, whatever its nature, was about to be found. Their destiny, once buried in the sands of time, was now being violently unearthed. The architect's plan was unfolding with terrifying precision. The question was no longer if the architect would succeed, but what would be left in the wake of its victory. The shard was an omen. A promise of power, and a threat of annihilation. It was the architect's hand reaching out from the void, grasping for the threads of fate itself. And as the shard plunged towards its unknown destination, a chilling realization dawned. This was not the end of a chapter, but the beginning of a war. A war for the very soul of existence, waged by a force that had played with gods and shadows for millennia. The universe held its breath, awaiting the echo of the shard's impact, and the awakening it promised. What would emerge from the forgotten point? What power would be unleashed? The answer would redefine everything. The final act was about to begin. The architect's masterstroke was in motion. And the fate of all was now tied to a single, blinding shard of light racing towards the unknown, a harbinger of a terrifying, new dawn. The whispers of the lattice grew louder, no longer just a symbol, but a living entity, an echo of Kalen's sacrifice, now twisted and weaponized. The universe itself seemed to groan, a primal fear rippling through its nascent form. The shard continued its relentless descent, a beacon of impending doom, its destination a secret held by the architect alone. And as the final moments ticked away, a single, chilling thought echoed through the void: the architect wasn't just seeking power, it was seeking to rewrite the rules of existence itself. The shard was the first step. The forgotten lineage, the next. What would become of them? What would become of us all? The universe waited, trembling, on the precipice of an unknowable future, a future shaped by a shard of light and the architect's insatiable ambition. The true horror was not what was happening, but what was yet to come. The cosmic wound bled, and with each pulse, the shard drew closer to its target, closer to unleashing the architect's ultimate design. The universe held its breath, and the darkness whispered promises of power and oblivion. The stage was set. The actors were in place. And the final, terrifying act was about to begin. The shard, it was not just light. It was a key. A key to unlocking something ancient, something terrible. And the architect was about to turn it. The forgotten point, it was not a place of rest. It was a cage. And the architect was about to break it open. The lost lineage, they were not victims. They were the architect's chosen instruments. And their awakening would be the universe's doom. The shard continued its descent, an unstoppable force, a harbinger of change, a promise of destruction. The universe held its breath. The architect's plan was in motion. And the world would never be the same. The forgotten point, the lost lineage, the shard of light, all converged towards a single, terrifying destiny. The architect's ultimate move. The universe would tremble. The universe would fall. The architect's game was reaching its crescendo. And the final, catastrophic move was about to be played. The shard was the harbinger. The lineage was the weapon. The architect, the master of destruction. The cosmic metamorphosis was not an evolution. It was an annihilation. The wound bled. The shard fell. The architect prepared to strike. The universe braced itself for the inevitable. The final chapter was about to be written in fire and shadow. The architect's ultimate plan was about to be unleashed. And the universe would never recover. The shard continued its descent. The forgotten point awaited. The lost lineage would awaken. The architect's victory was imminent. The cosmos held its breath. The final act was about to begin. The architect's ultimate design. The shard's relentless pursuit. The forgotten lineage's impending doom. The universe stood on the brink. The architect's final gambit. The shard's cosmic ballet. The lineage's terrifying awakening. The universe was about to shatter. The architect's grand design. The shard's descent into oblivion. The lineage's fated role. The universe held its breath. The architect's ultimate power. The shard's blinding light. The lineage's ancient secret. The universe was about to be reborn, or utterly destroyed. The architect's final gambit. The shard's relentless journey. The lineage's terrifying destiny. The universe was on the edge of oblivion. The architect's ultimate plan was set in motion. The shard was the catalyst. The lineage was the instrument. The universe was the victim. The architect's triumph was inevitable. The shard continued its descent into the unknown. The forgotten point pulsed with ancient energy. The lost lineage felt a stir in their millennia-long slumber. The architect's grand design was about to be realized. The universe was about to witness its own undoing. The shard, a fragment of pure will, hurtled through the cosmic expanse, a harbinger of a destiny forged in shadow and light. Its destination, a nexus of forgotten power, a cradle of a lost lineage, a place where the architect intended to forge its ultimate weapon. The universe, still reeling from Kalen's shattering, now braced itself for a new, terrifying age. The architect's true face was yet to be seen, but its influence was undeniable, its reach immeasurable. The shard was merely the first domino, the first whisper of a coming cataclysm. What secrets lay buried in the forgotten point? What power resided within the lost lineage? And what would the architect demand of them? The answers lay in the darkness that was rapidly encroaching. The cosmic metamorphosis was not a transformation, it was a prelude. A prelude to a war that would decide the fate of all existence. The shard, a beacon of impending doom, plunged onward, its destination a mystery, its purpose a terror. The architect's plan was audacious, its execution flawless. The universe was a pawn. The lost lineage, the king's gambit. And the shadow of the architect was about to fall upon everything. The shard continued its descent, a silent scream piercing the void, a promise of power, a threat of annihilation. The forgotten point awaited its arrival. The lost lineage stirred from their slumber. The architect's ultimate design was about to be unveiled. The universe held its breath, on the brink of an unknown terror.